It's all or nothing, but we're doing it different this time. Brandon's here, Josiah came, and we're giving our scores for the all or nothing of Rocky/Creed before we break down the franchise. We'll start with Brandon. What did you think of Rocky?
Ooh, great movie. I give it a 6.
Oh, awesome. So, I also think it's a great movie. I gave it 5 out of 5. Josiah?
6.
Awesome. So, Rocky 2. Brandon?
I give it a 4.
Okay. I give it a 5. I think that is, once again, a great film. Josiah?
Also 5.
Wonderful. Rocky 3.
Ooh, 4.
Oh, me too. I give it a 4 out of 5. I think it is a good movie.
5. Really love it.
Oh, great. Legitimately.
Yeah.
Brandon?
Oh, a Rocky 4. I
4.
give it a 4.
I also give Rocky 4 a 4 because I believe it is a good movie.
And I also give this a 4.
All right. Rocky 5.
Give it a 3. But it's a good movie. But yeah,
We'll
talk about it.
I
We'll talk
believe
about it.
Rocky 5 is fine, so I give it a 3 as well.
I also gave it a 3.
As you may have noticed, we are a fan of the Rocky
Yeah.
franchise.
yeah.
So,
We're not picking up on that.
So, last in the Rocky named films, Rocky Balboa. Brandon?
I give it a 4. Rocky Balboa.
Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
Balboa.
I
Yes,
also
Rocky
said,
6, if you want to think
if
about
you want, yes.
Yes.
I give Rocky Balboa a 4 out of 5. I think it is a very good movie.
I gave it a 5.
Okay, yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. Now we move into the spawn the
Spin-off?
the spin-off, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Creed.
I
Number
give it,
1.
Yep, a 6.
Okay, yeah, spectacular. I gave it a 5. I think it is a great film.
I also gave it a 5.
Awesome. After the open, we are going to break down
What about Creed 2?
Oh yeah, Creed 2.
Oh, good catch. Creed 2.
I give it a 3.
I gave it a 4 out of 5. I think it is a good film.
I also gave it a 4.
Awesome. So, after the open, we are going to break down the franchise. Thank you for tuning in to this All or Nothing.
See you soon.
I lied just a little. Before we break down the franchise, I've got to tell you about my, hopefully, franchise. This is Everlasting Survivors, Volume 1, all day long. This is the A cover, that's the B cover. There are very limited printings of these still available now on the Second Chance Indiegogo campaign. Also, from that campaign, can you guys switch it up? There's also the February Ferdian cover. That's a poster, 11 by 17 poster version of it. And there's also the Jeff Hicks C cover, which Josiah's got. Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
There are also hats and t-shirts and stickers and all kinds of awesomeness that you can get via the link in the description. Now that the shilling is out of the way, let's talk about Rocky, a franchise that clearly we all have affection for.
Big time.
Would never throw it away.
Never,
Yeah, no
never
way.
mind. Yeah, so clearly we're going to start by saying, yeah, it's an all. We're keeping it.
Well, the
Yeah.
funny thing is, before I went back and rewatched, I remembered having negative memories of Rocky 5.
Yeah.
And then I, upon rewatching it, realized it was only the climax. It's like they always say about wrestling, it's how you leave them.
Yeah.
And really that's almost everything. But still, it was the climax of the film which gave me that negative memory.
Yeah.
But other than the ultra cheese of that finish, it was a really good. It was a fine film. Outside of that, and I think had they not had the little bit of the oh yay, all the neighbors yelling down, you did good in the alley fight.
You did it, Rock.
Yeah.
Greatest.
I think it would have been remembered more
Right.
fondly.
It kind of had the separate franchise, but the Lethal Weapon, the
Yeah.
first movie, Final
Yeah,
Fight,
yeah,
where you
yeah.
got the cops standing around like, yeah, come on. It's like, that wouldn't happen.
No,
It's
of
like,
course.
you're arrested, okay?
A good try.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
stop.
I don't know what you do. Those neighbors would be calling the cops. Like, no,
Right,
this
even
would
if
not be-
police are there.
Yeah,
and
this
it's like,
boxer's beating up this old man. I'm gonna need you to make this stop immediately.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, like I said, that one scene really stuck out to me to make me feel like I disliked it. But after rewatching, I was like, oh, I don't dislike it. It was just I think that could have taken a little bit of a tweak.
It was the last third of the movie as opposed to, well, not even third, like last fifth, if that, as opposed to like the entire movie itself. Because again, like us, like clearly we all like all the Rocky movies.
Absolutely.
I think watching them all in succession, like, so I see, oh my God, Rocky 1's amazing, Rocky 2's amazing, Rocky 3's amazing, Rocky 4 is amazing, Rocky 5, what happened?
What happened? What'd you do to my boy?
What'd you do? But then, like, so I watched the one I hated the most individually, and it turns out, like, oh, this isn't as bad as I remember it. And like Oz says, it was just the ending. I'm like, oh, that's what I hated, and that just happened to be the end of the movie.
So I watched this documentary about all of the franchise leading into the release of Creed, the first film.
Right.
Which is why we're doing this now, because Creed 3 has dropped at the end of last week,
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, most likely I've seen it by then.
yes. But the point is, I watched this documentary leading into the release of Creed, the first film, and Sylvester Stallone had talked about within it how he wanted Rocky to die at the end of 5.
Mhm, correct.
That was his original vision,
Like being
and
beaten to death, type of death.
he didn't specify, but
Okay.
what he did say was the studio was adamant not to kill Rocky Balboa.
No, we could still make a lot of money.
They said, you know what we like? Money.
Money.
And you know what we don't get if Rocky Balboa's dead? Money.
Money.
So I thought, well, that's a really wise call by the studio.
You know,
That's one
why?
of the few times I'm like, okay, the studio made the right decision.
Because, you know, they had Rocky Balboa's son, so what they were thinking is Balboa, how about add an S?
Yeah.
And all the sign at the
Balboa.
end.
That's it.
Balboa.
See, I
It's in
think
there.
that's a genius call.
Yeah.
Because he is in the corner of Adonis Creed, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and so yeah, that may and also Rocky in Rocky Balboa. So no, that's really smart. I don't know if that anybody actually had that idea, but that's good.
Right, because
call.
you know, in Rocky 5, the son was fighting.
Yeah.
So because you know, and I like that they add to that in Rocky Balboa.
Indeed.
But yeah, Rocky 5 is interesting because they got a real boxer to play Tommy Gunn.
I did forget that. Yeah, he was
yeah.
a real boxer.
Yeah, tragic how he died in real life, but
Yeah.
he was arguably one of the best, but just never he won a championship belt and stuff. But it's long story.
Right.
But
Right.
but yeah, I like how they got that and how he was tormented
Mhm.
like as a child.
Mhm.
But Rocky, was you know, he
No,
didn't want to teach
gotta
him.
say the full name.
Yeah.
Gotta give him-
He didn't
put
want
the
to
respect
teach
on
him
it.
at first.
Yes.
yeah.
He was like, but he saw a little bit of himself in there, like
Yeah.
that relentless push, like, hey, I want to be the best. So you know, he's like, eventually, he's like, you know what? Let's invite him to dinner. Adrian was like, I don't really know.
I don't know about this kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and see the whole seeing yourself in a character
Mm.
is really to me what defines the early Rocky character.
Mhm.
He is the everyman, especially when Apollo is picking him. He picks
Yeah.
him because he's the nobody. He's the down
the
and
bum
outer.
off the street.
He's the
Mhm.
bum off the. I love it. Yeah, and even Mickey, like since
Yeah.
you said bum, he knows that Rock's a bum. He's like,
You're a bum.
I'm about to say, Charles a bum every time he trains him. So.
and so, but my point is that it's easy to relate to the everyman.
Mhm.
And as to lean into that point, I always find things of the nature of Rocky inspirational because right now, I'm Mr. Nobody working to get to the top. You know, I'm not quite to any area that I aspire to. The only thing that I can say that I've accomplished is finishing a story. But what I need is the adulation of that crowd to put it over the top.
Mhm.
And so, speaking of the top, I love that movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it's interesting that Tommy Gunn eventually strayed from the path when they got the Don King-esque character of I can't think of the character's
But
name.
we all know
We
it's-
all-
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
it's Don
saying-
King.
We
It's a
know what you're
parody
talking about. But yeah.
Don King, and while Rocky didn't necessarily have that, so he couldn't veer off the path of, let's say, goodness or being manipulated
Yes.
into
That's a good word. Yeah.
a life of fame, women, and money.
You know, the vices.
Right, the
normal
vices.
Yeah, that's so
Right.
good. Well, and that's another thing is his affection toward Adrian is always so pure.
Yeah.
It's not, one of the, like you said, a vice necessarily. He just he sees the good in a person.
Yep.
And she sees that he's good back, and then it works out. It's sweet.
And they just connect. And
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Love
Yeah, because in the first Rocky movie, he was a boxer and a bouncer.
Yeah.
Well, he was an enforcer.
Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't say he was
Yeah,
bouncing anyone
right.
anywhere, but yeah.
Yeah, he would beat people up for money, and it's kind of funny that the little girl that he was walking home,
Little
and
innocent,
tutoring-
little innocent. What was she? Dang, I lost the name. Pet shopkeeper. Dang, I forgot what the job was called. But the little job she did, and she was just like this little girl next door type.
Mhm.
Yep.
And
he walks her home, and then in Rocky Balboa, he forgets about, and then she's like, "You don't remember me?" He's like, "No, no." And then he's like, "I'm the one that you walked home," and he's like, "Oh, okay."
Oh,
But it's kind
yeah.
of funny that they did that callback in
Yeah.
the
Oh,
movie.
absolutely.
yeah.
So it's interesting what creates a lasting impression on people. So when I had graduated college, I didn't get a job in the field that I graduated college with a degree in.
like most people.
Well, sure, yes, true. But the point of the story is that I actually had a handful of part-time going nowhere jobs, and one of them was being a janitor at the college I had just graduated from.
Wow.
And so while I was doing that, I would kill time and just kind of ha-ha it up and open the door for folks. I'd be like, "Hey, have a great day," just being outgoing and polite. And it's funny because at the time, I was just doing it for literally everyone, and it meant nothing to me because I was just doing it to pass time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And but it turned out later that it was the first memory that my girlfriend had of meeting me was that gesture that to me was just something I was doing for everyone, but to her she was like,
what a gentleman.
she thought it was polite and kind, but to me it was just what I was doing for everyone. And so it's funny how that
First
something
impressions.
first impressions, and how something that can seem
Non-
low key to you can be monumental to somebody else.
Mhm.
Like the walking the girl home
Right.
story is
exactly.
that's the connection there.
Yeah. And Rocky is interesting because this is probably Stallone's baby.
Oh, it 100%.
not probably.
Yeah.
It
It
is.
100% because he wrote it because nobody would give him work.
Exactly. Yep.
And again it just goes back to
Blows
that
your mind,
aspirational
Yeah.
notion of the whole concept, because it's like I'm struggling to make it, but I'm gonna write a story about a guy who's struggling to make it, and then it brings him the success that he's longed for.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and being called a bum, he probably was called
Oh,
that.
he's definitely got a bum. I'm sure.
He did an extra film back in the day, so it's one of those things where he's like, I'm not necessarily proud, just like Rocky as being an enforcer.
Mhm.
He's not necessarily proud, but you got to make ends meet.
Absolutely.
Gotta
And
live. Gotta live. Gotta
Right.
survive. man.
Right, you can't give up on your dream, and that's ultimately what
Yeah.
the underdog story.
Yeah,
It's really-
I was literally talking to our mutual friend this week, Ahmed, about my fear of failure and how I told him, I was like, win, lose, or draw with this Everlasting Survivor Second Chance, I'm still going to do one more story because, well, the script is this close to done and I think it's stellar. Well, because we spent some time together, he's a fan of it too. But I told him, I said, if that one don't work, I was like, I might have to throw in the towel. And he was like, nah, brother, strive till you die. He's like, just keep pushing. And it was what I needed to hear in that moment. It was like, keep going for it, keep fighting, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just one of those things where I was like, yeah, you're right. I don't know how I'm gonna be able to make it but I just gotta keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's kind of, but Rocky wouldn't be anything without his foils. And the first one is Apollo,
Oh, I love that guy.
which I wouldn't ever say that he was a villain in the first one.
No.
Would you say that he was a villain?
I wouldn't say he's a villain. He's more of probably like an anti-villain. So probably like
He was just arrogant.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Very
Yeah,
arrogant.
yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think that's good,
so
better
he
word
has
for it.
he has the character flaw of the arrogance,
Yes.
absolutely, but he isn't a bad guy. It's not like
Yeah.
he's cheating.
Hey, he's not a
or-
terrible person.
Exactly.
He's by all means every walk of life. If he's a protagonist in his own story,
Yes.
he'd easily be the hero with just a little bit of cockiness.
Right, absolutely. Well, actually, I feel like the introduction of the Creed story makes him more villainous than the Rocky story does.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is because he's not there.
Right.
Now, granted, eventually, jumping ahead, he had no choice not to be there.
Yeah.
But
You know, life happens.
like, well, or
if he
stops.
dies.
He dies.
Oh my god.
That line sticks with me. It's so
Oh,
iconic.
Oh, God, this franchise
Honestly,
is so good.
yo, when he lifted up dude's gloves,
Yeah, yeah.
and he went, tsh,
Yeah.
I would have like, yeah, can we
Yeah,
stop?
yeah, we're done.
yeah.
Alright.
He was like,
We're calling it a day.
I love
Bro.
Drago so
yeah,
much.
Drago, yes.
Oh,
Yeah, Drago. But okay, granted, he would have been arrested after that fight because the referee grabbed him.
Absolutely.
And I
So,
was
so
like,
that's
Yeah.
the thing, that's the thing about the whole concept of saying Apollo wasn't the villain is I think what it proves to me that he's not a villain is the introduction of Mr. T's Clubber Lang and then also Ivan Drago played by Dolph Lundgren because both of those characters are legitimately anti.
The worst people.
Well,
They're the opposite of Rocky.
yes, exactly. Even before becoming world champion, Clubber Lang is already draped in gold.
Yep.
He's already high on himself so much that he is the anti-Rock. And then Drago, he's so cold.
He's a machine.
He's a machine, exactly. Oh my goodness!
Yes.
And so I think the introduction of those two characters are really what proved that Apollo wasn't a villain.
Yeah.
He was just the example of what can happen
Yep.
when you're on top.
Ooh, okay.
Ooh, that's-
And again,
I like that.
Rock himself actually is the embodiment of getting what you want and then not becoming who you want to be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When he has that rolling robot that brings in the stuff, and
Right,
he's
yeah.
just he's no longer himself.
Yeah.
And that's actually why the fall from grace to me is important for his character development because it brings him back to
To his roots.
and to the man that we all can look up to because even when he has nothing or especially when he has nothing,
Yeah.
he becomes a man that you can say, okay, he's no longer rich, he's still famous, but he's not on that same
Pedestal.
well, or that stuck up mindset is all I was getting at.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Yeah, because when was that? Rocky 3 was when he was like just laying waste to everybody.
Oh, he was that dude.
Right, but Mick even said, "Hey,
Yeah.
we threw in a lot of people that we knew that you were gonna beat." And he was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
"So you were just," and he threw Mick away. Mick is his
Yeah.
trainer.
that's
Yeah.
why it's set.
Yeah.
If you're watching this, you've
I'm
seen
about to
it.
say.
but
Yeah.
You've seen
no,
Rocky,
no
yeah, you-
explanation needed.
okay.
So, and if you haven't seen it, what are you doing?
Go-
Turn
go-
this
go
off.
watch
Yeah,
Rocky.
watch
Spoiler
Rocky.
alert.
Go watch all of it.
Yes.
I promise you will not be disappointed. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness. So anyway, but yeah, Mick and then Mick passing in 3.
Yeah.
That's some harsh stuff.
Mhm.
And then Rocky leaving the world title there with him at his grave. That
Mhm.
was yeah.
I was touching.
Right.
Love.
I still remember that scene.
You know, Apollo coming in like the Phoenix that he is. So you telling me that you're just gonna give up like you owe me a fight? And
Oh, my
hey, it's
goodness.
like okay, and you know his enemy for the last 2 movies. Great call. I don't know
Yeah.
who thought about that.
I'm about to say that was
too.
really smart.
Maybe it was Stallone.
It
or-
had to be, I think.
right, but it's like that's a good call to make people who were supposed to be enemies
Yeah.
friends. Like
Yeah.
like what was it? Sephirin and The Matrix Reloaded. He
Oh, yeah,
said
yeah,
that you
yeah.
don't really know someone until you fight them.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's a good call. It's like, hey, they probably never really talked outside of their boxing
Not
matches.
probably. They definitely have never talked outside of the box.
But you know, there was like a brother, a kinship that
Well,
couldn't be.
I
broken.
remember them talking in the hospital as they're both.
Oh,
Oh yeah, right.
They're
right.
still talking crap to each other.
I apologize.
I would
You
have
were
got
correct,
you.
sir.
Oh, no. He's like, I don't want none. I love that. Rock's like, he's like, I don't want to fight no
You
more.
good?
He's like,
you
"No,
good?
no,
I got
no,
you.
no,
The
no."
man. You the
Yeah.
man.
Yes, and it's just such a tender, like touching moment that
absolutely.
these guys are like bonding and training each other, like
Yeah.
someone that
Getting
was
each other
supposed to
better.
be like your enemy.
Well,
is
that
now.
so to me it reminds me a lot of being deployed. where, I mean, don't get me wrong, we weren't actually fighting each other, but we were
Right.
all in a harsh, unpleasant, unforgiving environment.
Right.
And if that's not what a fight is, harsh, unforgiving environment, I don't know what else to call
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And so when you come out of it, you have that bond that is, I don't know if it's necessarily unbreakable, but it's very strong.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it makes really good sense to make them friends
Yeah.
upon the conclusion of the fight.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then it also makes Apollo's death in the very next movie that much more tragic.
Right. I mean, let's be honest. All the villains or opponents, maybe except for Apollo until he dies,
Yeah.
are pretty tragic. Like Clubber Lang, he's by himself.
Yeah.
Now maybe that's on his own.
Yeah, that might
because
be
we don't get any
self-inflicted, but
we don't get any backstory, but one can maybe just
assume.
that he just did everything by himself. So he naturally just said, "I don't need anybody, and I'm just gonna just do things
I'm a
my
man."
way." You're right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just knock everybody out.
Yes.
And he had no friends.
Whew.
Ivan Drago had the country behind his back pushing him.
But even his wife seemed like she was more behind the country than him.
Right.
Yeah.
And just drugging him up.
Exactly.
Just like
More steroids.
Yeah, more steroids. It's just like sad. Like when you really think
absolutely.
about it.
Absolutely.
And then when you find out that after he lost, they just
booted him.
yeah, they just booted
They
him.
said, "Get out."
Yeah, they're like, you're not worthy
You're
anymore.
not one of us.
So I know you have conflict with Creed 2 due to certain things, but I want to jump to Creed 2 and say how that I love the callback to Drago and how
Mhm.
the rise of his son has given Ivan Drago new life
Yeah.
within not just the country but the sport and it seems to have
Reinvigorated.
yes brought him back,
Yeah.
breathed new life into the character, and so now you can talk about your complaints about
Yeah. So
of the fight itself. I
right.
think.
So
Oh, I got
I'm
an
a,
issue with it. Okay.
yeah, because I'm a big fan of boxing, like a really big fan. My major complaint with Creed 2 is that Drago's son is huge. like he is huge.
Oh,
When I was
the
with
weight
my,
class argument.
yeah, when I was with my dad, and I was like,
Yay,
yeah,
boy!
Stallone and Drago,
Bobby,
like
if you're not
weight.
subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, Dad.
And everybody, if you're here and you're watching, click subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Leave a comment.
Yeah.
I think
Share
they
with your
said
friends.
Stallone was like 180 something pounds in the movie, and Drago was like 225. But he didn't even look like it, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things. He was just tall.
Absolutely.
Like, he was just
Tall
tall.
guy,
So
tall
you're like,
guy.
okay.
Well,
But-
and wasn't the excuse that the Apollo Creed fight was just a sparring match?
Correct. It was
Yeah.
an exhibition.
So
Correct.
exhibition. So it didn't
Yes.
count. And then secondarily, the Russia fight was a fight for revenge, not necessarily
A title.
A
Correct.
title, exactly.
Correct.
So I think
exactly.
that's a good justification for both of those imbalances.
Correct.
Mitch Match weight classes.
But in Creed 2, when you see this dude, it's like the Incredible Hulk versus Captain America looks like. I'm over exaggerating, but
Well, I'm just glad you said it so I can
Yeah,
pop the image up.
yeah. But he is huge. It's
Yeah,
just like
big
looking
body,
at
big body.
big boy. He's
Yeah.
big.
Hey,
And
well
I'm-
fed.
You're right,
Well fed.
and it's believable that he would destroy Adonis. Like
Yeah.
he tore him up in the first fight.
Man.
But like what should have happened in the Rocky 4 is he lost because he kept punching him after things was called, and that's in real boxing what would have been. It's like
Right.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
Right.
no. You getting in handcuffs, big dog.
right.
Hey, we don't care how big you are.
And then also, you break a rib in the
Yeah.
last fight. I'm like, I don't know. I've never broken a rib, but people who have said, they're like, you barely can do
No,
anything.
you can't do it. You can't
Like-
breathe. You can't. It hurts to like walk. It hurts to like. You can't raise your arm. Like anything that would stretch like this part of your.
Midsection?
Thank you.
Yeah, your
Midsection.
lungs are just,
Yeah.
they just say
Yeah.
like everything is just hard. Like
For
it's
sure.
like you're drowning.
Yeah.
So I just never broken a rib, but when I saw that, I'm like, okay. But everything with the family, like the storyline between them is great.
Yeah, and I
It's great.
See,
It's great.
and that's why I wanted you to bring up your fight complaint, because I was gonna counter it with saying that what you already did, so I don't really have to do it anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to say that the family story that ties everything together was good enough for me to just let slide the fact that, and I'm a pro wrestling fan,
There you go.
and forever and always, you got guys like Rey Mysterio versus Paul White, or Rey Mysterio versus the Great Khali, The Undertaker, and in no way are these guys even remotely close to both
Not in the
heavyweights.
ballpark.
As a matter of fact, I think everybody I named except Rey Mysterio is probably a super heavyweight, and Rey's significantly below
Very
heavyweight.
cruiser.
Yeah,
As
cruiser
cruiser as it
weight, yeah.
gets.
And so to me, it was always easy to let that all just slide on. Yeah,
Disbelief. It wasn't
just
that big
yeah.
a deal.
My ability to disbelieve whatever you're telling me, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm totally.
I
with
got it. Don't need to sell me.
Yeah, exactly. I'm already buying. You don't have
Yeah.
to try and sell me on it.
But then, in just the previous movie Creed, they established like the boxers that he was fighting were real boxers.
Right.
Like they were actually like.
Which one's the one he actually knocked himself out in? The one that video circulated everywhere.
Oh yeah, that was the boxer that he fought.
Was
What
that-
is his name? He's British.
the British guy.
But that's the first one, right?
Yeah,
I
that was
think
the
that was
Creed
the
one.
first
First
Yeah,
one, not the
yeah.
second one,
I was really trying to remember. It
Yeah,
just popped in my
I thought
head.
that's what you were asking.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
the who, but the which one.
Yeah.
Film.
But the Creed, the first Creed established like, hey, it seems like they established like we're gonna be
More sports oriented.
Yeah.
right, like we're gonna be
So-
more
so-
authentic.
Give
so
you a
here's-
more realistic.
Here's the dealio. Tony Khan pulled this gimmick too.
No, Lord.
We were told in 2019 that all Elite Wrestling, we're going to have stats and everything's going to be real and it's reality based.
Yeah.
And then we get, what was that the orange
What?
juice match?
Oh, the Mimosa Mayhem.
Yeah, thank you, Mimosa Mayhem. That was not sports oriented. We
No.
had what was the one with the horse in the football stadium?
Ah, that was Stadium Stampede.
Thank you. Yeah, so we've been lied to before in the world of make believe sports.
To be fair to the Stadium Stampede and Mimosa Mayhem, there were no fans
Oh,
because there was a
absolutely.
pandemic.
I fully understand why these things happened, but I think that with or without people in attendance,
It would have gotten there.
what
eventually.
would have happened is we would have stopped count. Okay, we gotta have you and you wrestle on dark, and then I'll lose to you on elevation, so that you can then be challenging. So it's just so much simpler if you just say, "This is the story we're telling because we want to,"
Yeah.
instead of saying, "Oh, it's all stats based." So I understand where it's coming from, and again, because of being a fan of pro wrestling, it's so easy for me to be like,
Yeah. Okay.
and I'm a fan.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I like what you're putting out anyway. It didn't really bother me that much. You stopped doing.
Yeah.
Because to be fair to AEW, they did the stats thing for like a year, which is way longer than I thought they were going to do it for.
Actually, it only ended in August.
Really?
Yeah. So they went way longer than. Now, for about 9 months, they were all. They took the numbers away. They just had the top 5.
Yeah.
And it was all just whatever Tony Khan felt like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Which is what it should be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You're the boss. Just tell us what you like.
Yep.
We're
Just-
with you, pal.
Just tell us who I need to care about, and I'll go from there.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, but it's fine. But it ended up with FTR being like number 1 contenders for what? 9 months?
I think that's really why they stopped doing it, because it's
Yeah.
like, these guys can't stop winning,
Yeah.
but they'll never win the
I-
tag titles.
I literally cannot allow them to not win.
Yeah.
So.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Sorry, we got off on a
Oh no, 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 you're
Wrestling
fine.
tangent, that happens. Wrestling, boxing,
Yeah, yeah.
I
Mike
love.
Tyson was there. So.
What
Multiple
was
times.
it? Okay, when the first Creed came out, I loved how everything was negative towards it.
Oh yeah, I do
Because
remember
were-
that.
Oh,
There
the
were-
internet.
The internet.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
That's
wrong.
right.
Okay,
I
okay.
know.
I got a
trolls.
teaser coming. So last night, me and Brandon were talking, and he was all like, "Can we do a video on what's wrong with Marvel?" I was like, "I mean, I can only really think of like a handful of things," and literally, we both had the same first complaint, which is the internet.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like that's, like you said about Creed, the problem with most problems is just that everybody's opinion is thrown out there. Now, here we are doing it, but
Right.
we
I know.
don't make any illusions that our opinions aren't just our opinions, because this channel only exists to sell graphic novels.
Mhm.
So there's no illusion that we're changing the view of everyone. No,
Right.
I'm only here to sell Everlasting Survivors Volume 1 all day long, and subsequent stories that come after.
There you go.
And the boys are here because we like hanging out.
Right.
Pretty much.
And we make
and
good
just talking.
content.
Right,
Yeah.
and just talking.
And so, yeah, go ahead with your creed and your internet.
Oh,
sir.
but it was just fun. It's kind of like even with Mission Impossible 4, people are like, "Oh my gosh, why are we having this? This is so dumb."
I think that's what they're saying about Bad Boys 4 right now,
it's
too.
like, oh my gosh, Rocky, how can you have a Rocky movie? Oh my gosh, how did Creed have a son outside? Okay, this is getting ridiculous. And then when the movie came out, you never heard any complaints.
No, not a word.
Yeah, everything was zoop. Everybody who had a complaint,
Like,
they act
this was really, really good. Okay, I gotta shut up.
Like, you know that.
And that's kind of why I just avoid pre-release comments.
Yeah.
Because if something isn't out yet, how in the heck am I supposed to trust your opinion on something you haven't seen?
Mm-hmm.
And so this video, while trying to catch the Creed 3 wave, isn't talking about Creed 3. It's talking about everything that came before it.
Yep.
Because, we're not going to sit here and pretend like we know everything that went down, is going down, what to come next, and how there's going to be a spinoff for this, and then Drago's
Yada, yada.
getting his...
Right.
Etc.
Come off with theories that if they don't happen, we're like, well, the movie
Well,
sucks.
hey,
Oh my goodness. So you guys know this from literally being here, but anybody who's watched knows that about once a month, or sometimes all of us, give our triple shots, what we think will happen, what we want to happen, a wild card pick for all kinds of crap.
Yep.
You know what we don't do if we're wrong? Complain about it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since 9 times out of 10 we're going to be wrong.
Right, we're not in the boardroom.
Yeah, I'm about to say, we don't make the decisions.
Exactly.
We're just
and
we literally
fact
just
is,
consume the
to
product.
me, this is all just for fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, there are times when it's not fun, like, I don't know, Peacemaker, or The
I agree on
Spirit.
that.
But-
That one I hated.
But still, the intent is for the content to be fun for the viewer.
Right, correct.
And so,
It's just people's perceptions when something comes out.
Yeah,
and then
and it's not exactly
it's
what
not,
they said.
It's not
they wanted it to
unlike
be.
people being anti-Heath Ledger until you see Heath Ledger and you think, oh, there can't be a better Joker.
No one else can be
Right.
Joker now.
And it's
Everyone
like-
stop.
Yeah, it's like, yes. Okay, so the reason why I like Creed so much is it is Rocky,
Yes.
pretty much. But it is Rocky mixed with Rocky 5.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And it seems like the mistakes that Rocky 5 made, they corrected with Creed. And it's interesting to have comparisons between Tommy Gunn and Apollo.
Mhm.
Because Adonis had a rough life.
Yes.
When we first meet him,
That's an understatement,
he's
but yeah.
getting in a fight
Yeah.
in juvie.
Yep.
But Apollo's wife takes him out of it
Yep.
and puts him in a nice environment and a home and a loving home. And the thing that Adonis is always struggling with and that people always talk to him about is you ain't hungry. Like, you don't know what it's like to be
Yeah.
down, but everyone's always assuming and judging because
Yes,
the way
yeah.
that he carries himself and looked
Right.
at, he's not serious about this. Even the trainer's like, your daddy died in this ring. And he's like, that ain't got nothing to do with me. right. But I just love that.
Well, the thing is that the trainer had more of a relationship with his dad than he did.
Correct.
And so I can understand where he's coming from when he says, that's not
Different
relevant
people.
to him. Yeah.
It doesn't affect me.
Yeah, and he's looking out for his best interest because he doesn't want him to get hurt. Like
Yeah.
he
Yes.
would think that if his dad was alive, he would say, "Hey, son, I don't want you to fight.
I don't want you
and
to
end
get
up like me."
concussions for a living.
Right, and be like me. But there's something about, like, maybe I guess this is the nature thing of, but it's like, hey, when you're born to do something, you're just born to do it.
Right.
I know I keep making callbacks to wrestling, but there's so many examples of wrestling where there's a guy. I mean, Dwayne Johnson's the perfect
Oh,
example.
yeah.
So it's like, so not only was his father, but his grandfather were both wrestlers, and he's just one of those people that he got in it and he just excelled. And
Yeah.
there are countless other examples, but like, there's not a person on the planet that people know better than Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, no, I totally see where you're coming from about the innate nature of carrying on a legacy, even in the case of Adonis Creed, who didn't know his father.
Right.
Of Apollo.
Exactly.
And then if you look at Rocky's son, Rocky didn't really want to carry on because, and that makes sense. I think people always bring up that quote Rocky telling his son out in the street, like, you want to blame everybody for every of your problems and stuff, but you got to keep fighting and get back up. That infamous scene.
Classic.
But what people I think forget about Rocky's son is it's hard when your parent is an all-time great in people's minds, and they think that, oh, you're gonna be just like your dad, you're gonna be a fighter. Why aren't you doing that? It's like,
why aren't you following in his footsteps?
Not everybody is Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Right.
compared to Dale Earnhardt.
Right, everybody's not going to.
Yeah, so back in the olden days, there was this wrestler. His name, I keep doing this. Sorry, non-wrestling fans, but there was this wrestler named Bruno Sammartino, right? So
great example.
He came to America, avoided the Nazis and all this stuff as a child, right? And so he comes and he's all strong and he's somebody everybody looks up to, huge, exactly.
Yeah.
And he's champion for like I don't know 7 or 11 years or something.
It was 11 years and then 7.
So he had a good life, right? On top.
He did all right.
And so then he got his son a job. His name was David Sammartino. You know what he did? About this much. Nothing.
Oh wow!
Like don't get me wrong, like he had matches, but he just wasn't on that same level.
He wasn't his father.
Yeah, and the same example goes for Ric Flair and his son David.
Always David.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's a coincidence, I guess. But it's interesting to the idea of trying to live up to the all-time great or an all-time great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hard enough to do it when like it's not your parenting too. It's not like it's a simple, easy task. Like LeBron James is like one of the greatest all time now, but when he first got in the league, everyone was already comparing him to Jordan,
which is crazy,
which is insane.
Yeah, to
put on an 18. Was he even 18?
I think he was in high school.
Like 17 going on 18-year-old kid. Now, obviously, in my opinion, I think he's living up to it as we speak.
Yeah, I know. Oz doesn't really watch basketball.
Doesn't watch basketball.
I agree.
Okay, yeah. I personally, like, as of recording, he's already the all-time scoring leader. Literally, the only thing Jordan has on him at this point, as far as like
just
accolades, is just titles. Mm-hmm. And honestly, you can debate about that forever. But the point is, like, it's hard enough living up to an all-time great and being compared to him, even when that's not your father. Imagine if Jordan was LeBron's father.
Oh my goodness!
Like, that's a whole nother.
He would have definitely been Apollo Creed.
Exactly, that's a whole nother kettle of worms.
And he would have had him out of wedlock.
Yeah,
right. It would have been the affair, baby.
Yeah, I know. And it's just, which is I remember some people had that issue because they're like, oh, you're trying to say like, oh, deadbeat fathers and stuff.
Yeah,
like
right,
that.
right.
But it's like it's not.
To me, I saw it as a fame thing.
Yeah.
Like, there was this famous fellow who said, when you're famous, they'll let you grab them.
Oh, by the
it's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah.
And so the point was of the reference that if you're famous, you can get by with stuff, right?
Yeah.
And in the case of Apollo, I can understand. Actually, a wrestler I looked up to outed himself in his own autobiography about how unfaithful he was. His name was Bret the Hitman Hart. Yeah. And so this guy, who I thought was a stand-up family
guy,
man,
great hero,
is like I had a girlfriend in this town. I had a girlfriend in this town. He's like,
my wife told me she was pregnant, and I was in the bed with another woman. I'm like, Bret.
It was like my brother-in-law. He was like, my brother-in-law offered me some crack, but I decided to go out with this chick instead. My other brother-in-law, he was like, hey, want some steroids? He's like, no, I'm gonna go sleep with this lady. I was like, come on, dude. I thought you were great.
Everyone has a vice, and it turns out Bret Hart's was women.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow. A lot of vices.
Well, that's true. That's a true story. Yeah.
Yeah. No, when I read that book, that was
if the option is available, it makes sense. Yeah. When
Bill Burr's rant about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Anybody look that up.
I love Bill Burr.
Bill Burr's
hilarious.
Man.
But yeah, it's just interesting that people had an issue with that, but no one really talks about that now.
Yeah.
Because I think the character of Donnie is pretty good, actually.
Absolutely,
great for Creed, because also Rocky needed to get something off his chest, and that is Apollo's. Because just beating up Dolph Lundgren, Drago, necessarily isn't enough. I get in the movie, he's like,
Well,
Freeze frame.
if I can do it and you can do it, we can do it. Yeah,
Right.
America.
Right, but it's like, okay, there is something that's still like not touched
Yeah,
upon.
Absolutely.
Because you don't see the wife anymore. She's like, Rocky! And
Yeah.
Dolph Lundgren, boom, that fatal punch to kill him. And
Yep.
it's like, okay. And I love it that Donnie is trying to make things on his own, but at the same time he does use Apollo's name and likeness
Yep.
to his benefit.
Yeah,
and he gets
absolutely.
called out on it.
Oh,
like-
here's my thing. If you've got the option to wear those trunks, you're gonna wear those
Yeah.
trunks.
right.
So Apollo did it, looked amazing.
Mhm.
Rocky did it, looked
Looked
great.
amazing.
And Adonis Creed putting on the trunk. Oh, come on now, everybody! If you got the option, you're gonna wear those.
Oh yeah.
Like Rocky Balboa is selling. Sylvester Stallone
There you go.
is what I was trying to say. Is selling those commemorative, like not a knockoff of those on his own personal website. That's how popular they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I haven't done it, but I've considered the idea of like, you know what, I'd like those fight shorts, please.
Oh, yeah.
I just need a pair, just one pair.
Oh man, and and this is why I rank Creed so high because I think it has probably the most emotional moments in the whole entire series.
Mm.
I think there's 3 of them. Rocky identifying that he has cancer,
Mhm.
and he's like, "Hey, I don't want that because Adrian, she had that, and it didn't work out
Of
that
course,
way."
yeah.
And he's already kind of just like, "Hey, you know what? It's time for me
The bow.
to go."
Yeah.
Adonis finding out about that and wanting to like, hey man, just let's get that treatment.
Yeah.
And all of us do it. We say things that we don't necessarily mean, and it came off that he didn't care about Adonis in that way, like also I'm just some bum living on your couch. He's like, listen, we're not really a family. He didn't mean it
Yeah.
like that, but that's how it came across.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
like, I don't
absolutely.
really care about you like that. Just go away.
Yeah.
Then you got that prison scene where he's like, "You sick old man, get out of here!" I was like, "Whoa, that hit like to
Absolutely.
the core." And then the last scene, when he said that I'm not a mistake, I think everyone somehow, somewhere, probably feels like, "Am I making a mistake or
Yeah.
letting people
Am
down?"
I
And I just
wrong?
think that's,
Absolutely.
and you want to just prove to everyone.
Well, yeah, it goes back to what I was saying about Rocky early on being aspirational. This is a cathartic hero, a hero that you can see going through the pain and it washes your pain away because you're like, okay, he did it for me. And now you can come away from the film being like, that weight's been lifted because Adonis did it. You know,
Mhm.
it's similar but different to what Rocky does
Right.
within his film.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, Sly, he was just great in Creed.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he got snubbed from the Academy Award for winning Best Supporting Actor
Yeah.
because I think he was just absolutely like,
They're like, we got you years back. You'll be all right.
Right.
Oh man.
yeah,
Because
they-
he won
Best Picture.
Best Picture for Rocky, which
Yeah.
is
Oh, yeah, that's
amazing.
right.
Going
Yeah.
from being what Cody Rhodes says is being undesirable, like Stallone was, to
Yeah.
undeniable,
Mhm.
which is what Stallone became. Is just a bona fide box office success.
Megastar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
megastar.
Yeah,
Exactly.
shoot. If you don't believe me, look at the 90,000 films he's in.
Yeah.
The Expendables, Rambo.
Ooh, I love Rambo. One,
Big fan of Rambo.
side tangent, but First Blood. Oh my
Oh
gosh,
my God, right?
I love
Oh.
First Blood. Ooh. If that's one of those films that
That's
I
a movie right
love,
there.
that I'll
what's
put.
up. So
Yeah.
I don't typically put over other campaigns from the Indiegogo, but I'll do it right now. Rambo's has a prequel on Indiegogo right now. A
Ooh, really?
pre-First Blood. I can't remember the title right off the top of my head, but there is a prequel to the Rambo franchise on Indiegogo.
Oh,
currently.
okay. Oh, I gotta take a look at
Gotta
that.
check that
So
out.
it's from the same creative team that did The Expendables Go to Hell.
Okay.
It was a story where all the Expendables die, and now they're linked up in hell taking
over.
taking care of business.
Interesting.
Phenomenal.
Yeah,
Oh, that's interesting.
yeah. So I thought that might be worthwhile in this praise of Sylvester Stallone video.
Yeah, because I think people don't give Sly that much credit for the movies that he's made because I think he has some bona fide like classics
Absolutely.
like Rocky, of course, Rambo,
Yeah.
First Blood.
So something I think is stellar, and while we're doing all the by we, who am I kidding? While I'm doing all the wrestling callbacks, Terry Funk is in a great Sylvester Stallone movie called Over the Top, where he plays.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he plays the bodyguard of Rocky's son's grandfather,
Mhm.
and so yeah, love Terry Funk. The Funker is a great wrestler.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's just finished his 4th retirement. So
Well, he's also a second generation wrestler though.
yeah.
Yeah, so
like
Who
have
is
you,
him and his brother are the only brothers to be world heavyweight champion.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, Dory Funk Jr. and
Yeah.
Terry Funk are the only brothers to be NWA world heavyweight champion.
I did not know they were the only ones to do it.
Yeah.
I knew they were. I just
Yeah. Well, can you think of another brother team that could have done it? Maybe
Yeah,
the Briscoes, but they didn't.
yeah. I was gonna say the Road. Well, Dustin had won a world title,
Right, but he didn't.
but he hasn't.
Yeah.
And Cody hasn't yet at the time of recording.
Well, he won that world title, the NWA
Oh,
one,
he
but
did,
that's
he did.
father son.
He was
not-
also ROH world champion.
right. But
Okay.
it's father son, not brother.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is all off topic. But yeah,
Yeah,
Sylvester
good point.
Stallone makes great movies. Love that guy.
All right.
Yeah.
especially Demolition Man.
Oh,
my
yeah.
goodness.
So I just have to throw
No.
Demolition Man.
That
Oh,
movie is
no.
freaking spectacular. Freaking prophetic.
Yes, like literally, Sylvester. Arnold Schwarzenegger becoming governor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, and I
Yeah.
cannot wait for the fast food wars.
Yes.
I'll-
I know.
I'm all for you, Taco
I
Bell.
forgot
Come
about
on, Taco Bell.
But
You
what
can
about
take
the
over.
3 seashells?
I still ain't figured it out.
Yeah, no one.
But I know how to get me some toilet paper.
Yeah.
I do know how to get
Yeah,
toilet
she
paper.
just cuss up a storm.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my God.
Yeah, and I'm waiting for our building to have a cuss.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, Demolition Man is great. Hopefully we'll review that because I love that freaking movie.
Absolutely, yeah. So good.
Hey, listen, I'm sure Oz will put it in the schedule at some point.
Yeah, but man, Rocky. I mean, is there one that we didn't? Oh yeah, Creed 2. We talked about Creed.
We're talking about Clubber Lane a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love Clubber Lang
Yeah.
because he makes a pass at Adrian.
Mhm.
And
Oh,
that
that's
is
right.
One thing.
That's
Hey,
the
pretty-
only thing.
Hey, pretty thing. Hey, why don't you come over here? And Rocky's like,
You son of a.
I love that. I was like, oh, you want to make any man mad?
That's it. That's how you do it.
Yeah, he was
That's how you do it.
pretty thing. Hey, I was like, man, he was an absolute jerk.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he was a great foil.
So, NECA has a amazing line of Rocky franchise action figures,
Mhm.
but they are obnoxiously expensive because they stopped making them. Right? They
Ah.
stopped years ago, so they're all
The
like
key to making anything expensive.
exactly. So they're all like I think the cheapest you can get it for like $120, and that's the Rocky. But like all the rest of them are like $250.
Ooh.
But they're some beautiful freaking figures, which NECA's great at making action figures. If ever I make it big, I'll probably get me a set, but like until then, I'm gonna stay
Stay away.
Stay away.
Stay-
Stop looking at them so
Yeah,
you don't
exactly.
think about it.
Just look at the your computer screen.
Yeah,
just gotta
One
touch
day.
it. One day you shall be mine.
Okay, yeah. And Mr. T did a great job. It's
Yeah.
kind of amazing that after the 18, he
Yeah.
didn't really get too much work after
Yeah.
that.
And even the work he did do wasn't like stand out.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that he had his own comic book series?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. T and the T-Force.
Oh wait, yeah, never mind. I did hear about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never read it. Was it? Did you read it?
I didn't read it, so the only reason I know is because while I was in college, I had a group of friends where we would go to the comic shop every week.
Yeah.
And for some reason, one of the guys, he was just obsessed with finding this run. I have no idea why, which, it's cool. It's good to have goals, but, we just kept
It's good
going.
to have goals.
Yeah. And so, he eventually got the whole set.
got the whole set?
Yeah. He was,
Wow.
had a good time.
Did he ever tell you about it? Like, was it any good? Like, just...
Unfortunately, me and this guy, we were more friends with the other guys in the group. Like,
Okay,
we knew
okay.
each other. And like, we're
Okay.
not
Yeah, about to say.
enemies, but it was just like we were both more friends with the other guys in the group, and so
Yeah.
we didn't really hang out much,
Fair.
just the two of us.
Understandable.
We can make
Missed
it
it.
if we try. Anyway, guys, it was super fun having you. Thank you, Brandon.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Josiah.
Yes, sir.
And if we can, we should all go see some Creed 3, maybe.
Oh yeah. Actually, that would be a good
I
idea.
don't know if that's I don't know if
think-
that's in the cards, but I think that
Yeah.
we could probably try and make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
That would
down.
be
So,
that would be nice actually.
Yeah, and maybe, just maybe, we could do us a video on it.
Yeah, because I don't think people will be obnoxious like they are usually in Marvel movies.
Well,
I think that's
you know.
Well, Only one way to find out.
Yeah, only one way.
Before we get out of here, thank you for watching. If it's your first time here and you like the video, please like the video. If you have a comment about the Rocky/Creed franchise, comment below.
Mm-hmm.
And if you enjoyed Brandon, myself, and Josiah, why don't you subscribe to this channel? Because the more subscribers we get, the better chance other people will see it, and the channel will grow. And the more the channel grows, the more opportunity there is to sell Everlasting Survivors Volume 1 all day long. Thank you very much. Later.
See ya.